Hi everyone, I'm Calista and I am a fourth year medical student living in New York City, and I have a background in engineering and computer science. I have had the opportunity of being really productive in research during my time in medical school, and I owe a lot of that to my skills in Python. I created this video series to be able to share those Python skills in a very accessible way. This is not the series that's going to teach you the basics of computer science and a lot of theoretical aspects, but it is going to get someone from limited or even no knowledge of Python to functional working capacity. So let's dive right in. I want to keep all these videos really short. Okay, the first thing everyone needs to do today is go to anaconda.com, download, and fill out whatever you need to fill out to be able to download Anaconda. Anaconda is an amazing platform, I'll pull it up now, that gives access to different ways to code. The one I'm going to be using for all these video tutorials is Jupyter Notebook, because I think that is a very accessible way to do your code. It allows you to run everything real time in front of your eyes, and it prevents you from having to use terminal or command prompt, which I think can be very scary for people who've never coded before. And the goal of this class is to take you from really no or limited Python skills to a functional working capacity to where you feel comfortable using it for your research. So once you have Anaconda downloaded, when you open it up in your computer from your applications app, it'll look like this, and I would click launch for Jupyter Notebook. So for me, I have that launched. It'll pull you to a page. It might look like this first, and you can go into any folder you want, and you can put the Python files that we're going to make in any folder you want. There is a link down below in the comments with a clinical database that I created. It's a fake one, but it's a good one to practice on. And I would download that into the same folder that you're going to put your Python file in. And so for me, it's in my documents. So I am going to just make a new Python file in my documents folder. Okay, so this is, again, so we did new and then just Python 3. And this is a blank Python template. So I'm going to call this lesson 1 video. You can call it whatever you want. And now this will live in your documents folder. So the first thing you want to do in any Python file you start is import the libraries that are important for whatever you're going to be doing. Libraries are collections of functions that you can use. So collections of things that are already created for you to use in whatever code that you're producing. That'll make more sense once we get into it. So the way you import functions is by using the word import. And this is, again, why I think Python's really great, because a lot of the language is very intuitive. So import, and a big library we are going to use for all of our lessons is pandas. Pandas is something that allows you to work with databases or data frames. Those words are interchangeable in this case. So import pandas, and I'm going to call it PD just to shorten it. And then another library we're going to use today is NumPy, and I'm going to call it NP. NumPy has a lot of mathematical functions that just let you do things very quickly with your code. So I'm going to import both of those, and I pressed Shift Enter to run. I can also, if I'm just on this, I can also just press run. But Shift Enter is great. And when there's a number there, you know it stopped running. So our libraries are imported. So I'm going to go over a couple quick basics of Python. Again, this is not a course where you're going to learn the theory behind computer science or anything like that. This is really supposed to be a functional course. I'm going to just limit my basics teaching to things I think will be helpful. Otherwise, we're really just going to learn by doing. So first, we're going to make a variable. A variable is a name to hold a piece of information, much like it is in math, same thing in Python. So I'm going to call it new var, and I'm going to set it equal to 4. It could be 4. A variable, that would be an integer variable. So this variable's type is int. Let's do a new var 2, another one, and variables can also be strings. So this would be type string. Variables can also be something called Booleans, which are the words true with capital. See how it changed into green? That's called a keyword. A Boolean is a value that it's equal to either true or false. So true, or again with the capital, false. That's a type Boolean. Another way to create a Boolean instead of writing true or false is a conditional statement. So a conditional statement is something that's comparing two things, and whether they're equal or not, or whether they're greater than, less than, those kind of things. So if I put 5 is not equal to, so the not is the exclamation point, equal to 4, this statement would return true. So it's the same thing as writing true, basically. That's what this equals. Okay, so those are the basics in a nutshell. Basics of variables in a nutshell. Now I want to make something called a list. So new list, a list you denote by 2 square brackets, and a list can be filled of anything. We could have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could have a list of strings, like yes, no, maybe so. You could have a list of Booleans. You could have a list of other variable types that I won't get into, but these are lists. They're ways to store information in a 1D format. And lists, you can, they're very helpful because they keep things contained, and then you can perform functions on an entire list. So functions are actions that you can perform that are already created for you, and they live in these libraries. So to show you what that means, so let's initialize these, and just note that all of these are 1 equal sign. That'll be important in a second. So a function, an example of a function. So we call our library np dot, and then there's a function called mean that lives in the numpy library np, and it takes the mean of whatever you put into it. So if we do np mean, and then we just literally put this entire list in, new list, it'll give us the mean of the list. There's also np dot median, which should be the same because of this list. And there's np dot standard deviation. And there's a whole other slew of things that you can do. What's really great about all of these functions and all these libraries is they're so easy to look up. Anytime you think you want to try a new function, or you have a new task that you haven't used a function before on, and you think that one might exist, just look it up. Google is a very powerful tool. I also recommend ChatGPT. Having ChatGPT next to you and coding alongside you with Python is wonderful. If there's a function that you were looking for, and you just type in, Python function for, and then the task that you need to do, ChatGPT will likely give you the exact code that you need to not only call that function and import the library, but also use it. It's an amazing coding assistant tool, so I really recommend it. Okay, so these are the basics of variables, lists, and some functions. Another basic I want to go over is for loops. So for loops are a way to iterate through something. And they typically they always start with a for, and you see it changed color again because that's another keyword. So for, and then you name a variable name. We'll just, the I is very classic, for I in, and let's use our new list, this guy here. Let's say I want to iterate through that entire list. That I would do that with a for loop. Let's say I want to iterate through it and print it all out. So for I in new list, so I represents all the spots in new list, and then use a colon, and then it automatically indents for you because it knows once you put the colon that you are putting something into the for list. So what should be done at every iterative point of the for list, of the list. And we want to print I. So print is a function that's just inherent to Python. That's why we don't have to lead it with like NP or pandas, PD. We don't need to do that. We just do print, and it changes color again because it's a keyword. And then you just need the parentheses, and it'll print whatever is in those parentheses. Sorry about that. And if we run it, it'll just print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Amazing. For loops are incredibly helpful. We'll use them a lot in this video series. I just wanted to show you what they look like. Okay, the last part I want to get into today is to start actually initializing our data frame. And we're going to do that using pandas. Like I said, pandas is the library that contains the data frame handling capabilities. Okay, so data frame, I'm going to call our data frame df. I'm going to set a new variable. And I'm going to set it equal to pd.readCSV. So this is a function, readCSV is a function that's inherent to the pandas library. That's what we call PD. And it does what it sounds. It reads in a CSV. The thing I linked down below, that test clinical database, that's what I want to read in. So read CSV, and then in single quotes or double quotes, just some kind of quotes, put in the name of the file that you want to read in. And it should be a CSV file because we're using the read CSV function. I believe we called it class test clinical database and then .csv. And then I ran that. And so now this variable name df represents our data frame. This CSV was put into a data frame in Python, and we can view it by just writing out df. So this is what our data frame looks like. Again, none of this is real patient data. This is all, I generated this all randomly in a fake manner, just so that we could have something to work with that looks like a clinical database that you might have for your research. And so we can see there's 100 rows, there's 11 columns. It's truncating the database. We can also just, if we use this function that's inherent to pandas databases called .head, we just see the top 5 rows and we get a better look at everything. Cool. So I just want to show you some functions to play around with this database to just kind of get familiar with it. So there's another function called df. So your database name, and then the function is .info in parentheses. And this gives the information, like it sounds like, on your data frame. And so we know there's 100 entries, there's 11 columns. Here are the column names, and here are the column types. So we see a lot of integers, we see some floats, which represent a number that isn't necessarily an integer. And then we have objects, which I will get into at a later time. So that this is helpful because it could help you, again, understand the data that you're working with better. And understanding the data that you're working with is the first step in any data analysis project. Okay, so now the way to access all of these columns, let's combine something that we just learned. Let's use a for loop and see if we can print out all of the ages. So if we can do this pretty simply. So for I in, and then I want to turn this, like we are used to now using a list to print out something in a for loop. So I want to turn this column age into a list and print it all out. And we can do that by calling the column. So the way you call a column is you use the data frame name, and then in quotes, in square brackets, you put the column name, and the exact name of it is age. We see it here and we see it here. So you put it in exactly how it's written. And then there is a function, another function we can use that's inherent to data frames called toList, and do the parentheses to close. So this whole thing, it's turning the age column into a list. We don't even have to turn it into a list actually to iterate through it, but I'm just going to do it just to be able to show you what this function is. So toList, and then let's say I want to just print I. And so it's going to print a lot. It's going to print 100 entries. But that is how we do that. Let's say I wanted to use some of the functions that we used before, meaning we would have our mean and median and standard deviation on some of the columns of this database. So I could do that, again, very simply by using our function. So np.mean, well, let's just pull up. So this function is handy so that you could just have access and see your data while you're working with it. So let's say like, okay, I want to pick out something I want to do. Let me see my data before I do it. So let's say I want to see what the average heart rate and the average respiratory rate is for all of these patients. I can make two lists if I want, or I don't have to, but let's do it for the sake of practice. So let's say a heart rate list is equal to, and then let's do what we did up here. Let's turn a column into a list. we do df, and then it's called heart rate dot to list. And then I want to do the same thing for respiratory rate. So respiratory rate list equals respiratory rate dot to list. Okay. Now I want to get the mean. Let's say I want to get the mean and standard deviation of both of these. So I'm going to put these all into print statements so that I can print it out. And I'm going to give it a label, print. So heart rate, mean. And I'll just do another print statement. So the mean would be represented by, we use that numpy function called mean, and then we just take the mean of heart rate list. And let's say I wanted the mean of respiratory. I do the exact same thing. Print np.mean of respiratory list. And then I get both of them. And then I can do the exact same thing for standard deviation. I'm just going to copy and paste this to make it easy. Copy and paste is your friend in Python. So I'm going to change the mean label to standard deviation label, and I'm going to change the function mean to standard deviation. Perfect. So now we have both the means for both heart rate and respiratory rate, as well as the standard deviations. So this is a basic overview of the very first part in this video series, which is just getting comfortable with variables and lists and for loops, and then actually being able to read in your data in a pandas data frame.